Ego death is a complete disconnection from reality. It's a spiritual phenomenon when you detach from your sense of self to experience a complete submergence of the collective consciousness. When undergoing ego death, every construct that you're tied to vanishes. You are lost in another dimensional plane, as you completely lose touch with every aspect of yourself and reality. You don't exist anymore. Reality doesn't exist anymore. You're just part of the cosmic rift, and the experience of consciousness experiencing itself. The experience of ego death can be extremely intense. It can be absolutely profound, but it can be just as horrifying. Ego death is essentially undergoing the death process, and is what I imagine death to be like. So naturally, there will be resistance, fear, and overwhelm before surrendering to it. Here is what happens during ego death. If you're able to surrender to it, ego death offers a window to experience consciousness without experiencing the self. The construct of experience evaporates from its human perception into something much more expansive. Within this state of consciousness, you are no longer bound by the constructs of our universe such as matter, time, space, or form. Instead, you amalgamate into a singular identity and experience an entirely new dimension of existence, one that's completely foreign to the human experience. The lack of separation causes you to experience existence through the lens of the collective consciousness. That means there's no separation, and that you no longer exist. This oneness of consciousness is often depicted as ultimate reality. The initial sensation of ego death can be anything from blissful to absolutely terrifying. Depending on a variety of factors, the sensation can accompany an existential crisis and extreme panic. Ego death may simulate a similar experience to physical death, and people will often perceive this process as actually dying. It is impossible to describe the experience of ego death, as the experience is well beyond our realm of understanding. With that said, ego death is probably the closest encounter with truth you can have, at least while experiencing a human existence. If you're heavily disconnected from yourself, but still conscious in the sense we understand, that's ego dissolution. Upon coming back to your body after experiencing ego death, people usually experience a spiritual rebirth. This is known as your second birth, where you undergo an awakening process that renews, or creates, your faith in spirituality, as people believe they have been to that place which feels so much more real than reality. The spiritual rebirth renews a sense of purpose, fulfillment, and prosperity. The rebirth also has the ability to completely eradicate the fear of death. This is due to people believing that they have already gone through the death experience, which makes the real deal much less intimidating. This phenomenon gives you a huge amount of new knowledge and wisdom that can be applied to your life. Ego death should definitely not be taken lightly. I would say it's the most intense experience that anyone can undergo. It has a tremendous capability that can't be fully understood, but the experience must be respected because it is a complete submergence into the infinite. Spiritual disciplines are like slipping into a warm bath, the bath being the spiritual realm. Inducing ego death is like plunging into the ocean, and some people are definitely not prepared to go that far. Don't underestimate how powerful this experience is.